Good morning. Good morning. Hello, my name is Hannah Kim. I'm the director of the Deng Extension Library here at the University of Toronto. I'd like to welcome all of you to our campus and the frozen winter city, Toronto. I hope that your travel wasn't so painful one. I heard that a few flights have been canceled and some of the speakers couldn't be here for this workshop and for tomorrow's plenary. However, I think the conference will go well as we planned. I think the weather in February was very mild here in Toronto, but since last week, just before the AES, it got really cold, and today is one of the coldest day of the week. And I think probably it's not a good day for sightseeing, but I think it's the best day for studying cataloging and RDA, right? It has been a really great pleasure working with Charlene and her team for this workshop. I know that Charlene and her team really put lots of efforts and time and energy to make this successful. So I sincerely hope that you enjoy your time today and your time throughout the AES and CEAL. Just one thing. Some of you asked me about the tour this afternoon. It will be starting at 4:30. The first session will start at 4:30. The second tour will begin at 5. And then our reception begins at 5:30. And some of our staff members, I think it would be great our staff just wave their hand. So some of those people will be staying until the OCLC CJK meeting, which will be ending at 4:15. And you can come with those people who just wave their hands and ask for the direction. So we will start our tour on time so that everybody can make the reception at 5:30. Thank you so much and welcome to Toronto. Thank you.
Thank you, Hannah. First, I really want to thank the University of Toronto for all their support because it's really a lot of work involved. So also thank you for coming. This is almost like our annual party. Do you agree? So we can meet and discuss about RDA or cataloging updates. So thank you really thank you for making all the effort to come today. And since we're behind the schedule, I really want to try to be a little bit flexible because I think it takes time to settle down. So we're going to move one group discussion to after the coffee break. And Steve Shadow may not need that much time for provide a neutral record. So I will talk to him maybe after his presentation, then we'll talk about CJK numeral. So thanks to Shiden and Erica's agreement, we will make this work this way. Is it okay with everybody? Okay. Okay, today, the first session, we're going to talk about, as usual, about RDA and the LC-PCC PS updates. It's covered the range from April 2016 to February 2017. And however, we'll cover a little bit more than that. Okay, today's agenda. And thanks to Shiden's suggestion, because next year will be a huge change for RDA toolkit and a lot of things going on with RDA. So today I will just resequence the contents unlike the past years is because of the last, I think it's November, the RSC meeting outcome. So I'm going to talk about what's going to happen first because that's easier for us to put into perspective what's going to happen. Then we talk about what have the PS change or rule changing in the past 1 year. So I just shift the order, then you know why I'm doing this way this time. And this time, sorry, something keep on popping up. And it seems so much to cover, so I try to exclude the contents for anything like a musical resource, for any kind of maps, cartographic materials, since we're going to have a webinar in 2 parts in early May. So Paige Andrews spent a lot of time really work on the contents for CJK community. So I think it's better for him to talk about a lot of details. So I would just exclude the contents related to cartographic materials. And also anything related to serious policy, whatever we talk about last year, I won't cover. But I only include one discussion question, is some sort of follow-up from last year's workshop. Okay, let's first talk about what happened, what decided in the last, the IC. The IC means RDA Steering Committee. So last year, there's several things really important decision they made. The first one is the IFLA LRM, is called the Library Reference Model. And this one really, it's really changed whatever you would think of. It's just the structure when we talk about further and then something being enriched and adjusted. So I'm not sure you really read this document yet. It's a very lengthy document. So at University of Washington Cataloging Policy Committee, we had a lot of discussion on this document. We think there's still a lot of detail to finalize. So that's why the final document has not been released yet, but coming out soon. So with this one, the LRM, so I only will share some of the highlights with you, and I think it's just, you need to take time to read this really lengthy document. And this one, as you heard about the FRB model, FRAD or FRSAD mean the functional requirement for bibliographic record, functional requirement for authority data, and the subject analysis data. And whatever this is, somehow they integrate and really make this LRM model. And because of this model change, so RDA also have to add at least 5 new entities to really accommodate all these differences. So you can see there's 5 new entities will be added to that. And if you pay attention to the RDA toolkit, a lot of terms already been changed by agent, and that's try to be in sync with LRM. And what's the major change to, I mean, if you're talking about RDA, is really remove the fictitious characters and non-human entities from the scope of person. However, but this is a very important one, however, I think RDA will work hard to try to accommodate this kind of changes. So I think maybe they try to make the change to the minimum level. Okay, so I just want to use the Kathy Glennon's report to CCDA, since she's the representative, the LA representative to the RSC, is what kind of impact of LRM would be on RDA. So first, try to support the work of 3R project. I'm going to talk about 3R later. And you will see the modeling is all about conceptual model. So the modeling attribute and relationship, you know, will be really great, has a great emphasis on the relationship. Sorry, I need to make the icon a little bit different here. So bear with me, because I have something keep on popping up. And also, if you look at the LM model, and they have some sort of also like a conceptual model, is the super entity and called RES. So it's really abstract concept. And you can see they number each one for each entities. So I'm not going to talk about detail here. So I think I encourage you to read the report, and I just want to say these are the key elements. Sorry, I have some technical difficulty here. Okay, so let me keep on talking about the impact of LRM on RDA based on the Kathy Glennon's report. Is another important thing is what's the impact on authority access point, I mean authority control in RDA. So they're still working out, so you can see 3 question marks. And for example, what is the definition of works in RDA? And so far, we use the agent name and the preferred title. And so for the new one, probably they allow different approach. Each version of the AAP is the nomen string for the work. So nomen is another term, okay? And it's very likely move to create the AAP for manifestation level and try to provide a method to compose the AAP an example of different approaches. So you can see a lot of things still uncertain. They're still working on it. So So that's why I cannot give you a very detailed report over here. They're still working on it. Julia can come up. This one keep up popping up. Do you want to change the color? Can we just get rid of this? I turn it off, but they pop up every 1 minute. Okay, thank you. Sorry. Okay, so another thing is very challenging is for aggregates. If any one of you are that serious catalog, and then you know how challenging to use in Ferber for this, for the continuing resources. But there's much more than that. Is still a lot of questions to resolve. So what is work? What is the collaborative work versus aggregate work? How can RDA accommodate different community approach to describing the same resource? For example, for the rare book and manuscript community, or the cataloging for special materials, and they have a different standard or different kind of approach. So this is a lot of remaining issues to resolve, and they are very challenging. Okay. After LRM, then another very important project coming up is 3R project. 3R project is, are you happy with the current RDA toolkit interface? I'm not sure what's your preference, but at least I'm not happy with the current interface of the RDA toolkit. It's just not easy to search, to navigate. And so that's the reason why they want to upgrade the interface of the RDA toolkit. But not only that, is try to provide more flexibility in the display of the instruction, better tracking of the revision history. You know, some people got really frustrated. It's just, the rule is like this, why different next year? But I have no idea, how to link the change history. So also try to comply with the current accessibility standard and readability on mobile device. Everybody wants to read RDA toolkit on your mobile phone. And also want to make the RDA toolkit synchronize with the Open Meta Registry or RDA Registry, so you can have that kind of URI, in sync. So you can see they also want to implement, as you know, RDA try to be international. So also they have to implement the new translation software to make that happen. And redesigning the RDA toolkit, including responsive design, emphasis on tablets, and also you can see we're trying to comply with the W3C standard. And you are able to create a unique view of the RDA content. And over here, you can see 3 views of RDA content's workflow, element, and policy statement. I'm sorry, I have a 60 slide to go over, so maybe I will say quickly with some slides, and you can read on your own. So continue with 3R project, and you can see the display function is try to integrate the display of RDA instruction with related documents. And I think this is so important. I'm going to show you a few examples later on. It's just why I want to have that kind of group discussion questions. It's just not easy to piece them together. Sometimes it takes time. And also for navigation, help distinguish entities related to instruction and the guideline of action to be taken. So all of this related to 3R project. So let me just summarize whatever the outcome is. All this kind of upcoming RDA changes driven by, what kind of things driven? Is first, of course, international adoption of RDA. Linked data, so you can see you will rely on open metadata registry because all over there is with the control vocabulary with the URI or link to it. So they're able to do like kind of project or development of linked data. And of course, the IVLA LRM, so we have to accommodate some new and revised entities. Another thing very important here is implementation of the 4-fold path. It means unstructured description and structured description with, of course, we're including the authorized access points, identifies an URI. Think about put this 4 together. Is that challenging? It is very challenging. So they also have another kind of challenge is really what is this transcribing or recording data? Of course, one of the major goals is make a toolkit more user-friendly. And could be generalized some sort of instruction or refocus the order of instruction. So this is just the highlights, but you can see so much things going on. And in the coming year, 2 major projects going to happen at the same time. And that's the reason why there's no October 2017 and February 2018 release, so they can focus on this change. And however, in 2018, there were 3 releases in April, August, and October. So whatever I talk about the 3R project, the new look of RDA Toolkit, that's the only thing I can show you today. That's what I showed today now, is only have the first status report you can see here. But they try to make the interface more powerful, more user-friendly, even more elegant. Okay, now I will just start talking about another thing is, it's really come from the I think user request is, probably from Morimoto-san, is we also have talked about what's going to happen with the April 2017 release. So over here, I emailed the IC secretary on February 27th when I prepared for the slide. And she said, nothing ready yet. However, the IC chair, Gordon Dunsire, and he replied to our email and just want to emphasize a few important things. As I said earlier, very important for the development of linked data is the open metadata registry, already updated with changes to the RDA reference for the April 2017. But I don't think the RDA registry is ready yet. And you can see, and actually I think in the past 3 days, you already see some announcement and like a MarkTech change, that kind of thing. So you can see what Golden want to emphasize here is the vocabulary encoding scheme for the RDA book format, being relabeled RDA bibliographic format. And you can see some discussion in the listserv is about new description of and describing in designator are added to Appendix M. Appendix M is for the subject analysis relationship. So all kind of this kind of thing is really going on and will be included, and also about the translation of the RDA reference. And you can see I have a link there for that document. And also, just announced on March 6th, is all the whatever they will release next month is already, you can see in the table, and also finalized proposal. You can just go to that link and see what's being revised, what's been finalized, and that's going to be in the April release. But over here, I just want to show you an example why we want to talk about 3R first. Because you can see this one being approved last November. It's LC proposal number 1. It's revision to the instruction for commentary, etc., added to previously existing work. 6.27.1.6. You can see the outcome is accepted and based on the revised edition. However, pay attention to the notes. Consider a shortened solution. The entire instruction could disappear as a result of 3R project. So what does this mean? So it's going to happen is whatever I'm talking about today, it may not appear next year in the toolkit. So don't blame on Charlene. Say, you say this, why it's not there? This could be the outcome of 3R project. Because, the 3R project may solve some problem. It's just the toolkit couldn't, a lot of things may not work that well because of the toolkit and also you don't see the relay instructions. The 3R project may integrate a lot of things. So for example, I show you this one just being finalized. And this one also being revised, accepted, revised, and finalized. So over here, you can see for the quotation mark, as the ACR2 catalog we used for years. You have the 500 note, and you can see this information quotation mark from title page, right? But over here, I think this one comes from European community, is you do have the optional. You don't have the option. You don't have to record title page as the source anymore. So this is optional. another one, this one coming in April, is being finalized, is the law governing more than one jurisdiction. So you can see the example there. So you have multiple countries involved with this law. I'm so glad to see my colleague Leah from Columbia Law School. So whenever you have a legal question, Leah, you can raise your hand. You can ask Leah. She knows more than me. Okay, so let's move on to the attributes of manifestation and item. My sequence go by the idea toolkit sequence. Okay, this one actually is not new to everybody. It's the symbol and it's alternative and the LC-PCC PS. I think what I did is just revise some instruction, make the idea toolkit and maybe PS more update and synchronize. So over here, just emphasize how can we just describe all those symbols, maybe in 245 field, that you have 500 notes to describe what kind of symbol you involve. So over here, you can see the example, and however, this example has an arrow. So you can see 246.30, the second indicator should be crossed out without the second indicator 0. So over here, you can see my mark, and this one has been reported to RDA Toolkit. So over here, you can see the symbol to tell you the W, it means women. And they have detailed 500 notes to tell you what kind of symbol it is. And I'm also delighted to show you the example on the upper level, and that's the example from the CJK example project. NACO, where's the NACO? Yes, NACO put a lot of effort into this project to compile CJK example related to RDA. And this one of the example is really from CJK community. You can see the star. And how can you record in 245 field? And how do you input a detailed note to describe that star symbol? Also, you can have an example from PS. The policy statement is for that copyright symbol, and you can have the bracket for copyright and describe. Even though the copyright symbol, you can get it from the input IME, but they still encourage you to transcribe into this kind of textual string in 245, so that's more searchable. And this one is, I thought is a good timing for some discussion. This is also a new rule or revised, it's revised rule to add some new categories. And this one is talking about recording device title. And it's just including 3 categories for opening words of text, and also a phrase, and the title of related resource. You can see the example. So what they added, new categories is C, D, E, and that's the one I highlight. And also you can see some example there. And I believe this is very important for manuscript and the real book community, is you have the collection. How do you describe? There's no title on it. So you can see the example like a badge, this kind of like almost like 3D object. And you can say they are letters. And also you can see the last example at the bottom is the open words of unpublished point. So whatever information available, and you can use it, okay? But over here, I just want to show you something here is, because this is also important when you describe something, for example, like a painting, postcard, poster. Sometimes they don't have any title there. What do you do? And also over here, you can see a lot of instruction here. But that's for the CJK community. What we really care is about language, right? Language is specific. So over here tells you, you can use the language of the script appropriate for the contents, right? And also policy statement. Over here, there's an alternative option. That's the one major one, say, the language for the contents. They also have an alternative. In an alternative, that means you may choose the language somehow the agency decide. And if you go to click on the PS, the policy statement, over here say you can devise a title in language preferred by the agency. Then you can see the PS statement say, in United States, we devise a title in English. This is not new and just helpful for my following group discussion. Okay, so over here, you can see how many rules related to when we want to decide what kind of title we have to use. All these are related rules listed there. So if you catalog a Korean painting, so can you just devise the title in 245 in Korean? Do you think yes or no? I'm looking at everybody and also Korean catalogers here. Do you think the answer is yes or no based on whatever I show you the rules? Okay, Erica say no, should be English. Morimoto-san say no, should be English. Any other answer? Do you love group discussion? I love it. Because why show you so much information, we need time just pause and digest, right? And think of how that we apply these rules to real situation. As a catalog, we face like kind of challenge every day, right? And I'm very practical catalog, usually. Yes, I just try to know the answer. How can I use RDA rule to catalog this painting? Okay, so if I show you here, can we go back? So, however, I don't have the slide can show you the entire structure. And this one, if you look at this rule, whatever I pointed for group discussion, and that's the first choice, you can use the language and script appropriate to the contents of resource. So that means if you are Korean catalog, you have a Korean painting in front of you, you can use Korean in 245. If you're talking about the first choice here. Do you understand what I mean? Okay? Because if you look at indentation, if you go back to the rule, go back to RDA 2 here, look at the indentation. This is actually the first choice. You can use the language you think appropriate for the contents. Then you go to the next screen, alternative. That means if you choose alternative, then there's a PS there. Do you understand what I mean? So your second choice is alternative. Then you have the click the PS. The PS have that alternative say, then you devise a title in English. RDA provide flexibility. So let me show you again. Okay, so you look at this alternative. You can devise a title in a language and script preferred by the agency preparing the description. For example, I'm a Korean cataloger, and I don't read Chinese. And then somehow my boss wants me to handle this one. So it just bookmark with Chinese prop. That's something I think that's what the content's for. And I don't know Chinese. You can devise the title in English because preferred by your agency, this alternative. So you can do either way. Do you see my point? So my first question, can I devise a Korean title for Korean painting? Yes, if you use this rule with that choice. Can I devise an English title for a Japanese photograph by applying the other two rules? Yes, you can. Yes, Sharon?
Just very quickly, in the old days, we would have put brackets around things that we made up.
Thank you, Sharon. That's my next slide. Okay, yes. Okay. Yes, I know. I think National Library of Australia use 242 a lot. Yes, you do have that option. Yes, but what I'm talking about here is a focus on 245, device title. Okay. Any other question? But it's okay with you because, okay, shouldn't. Okay, I did discuss with the PCC community with some of my colleagues, And it's very obvious this is only applied to alternative. It's not to the major one. Okay, let's go back again. Okay, let's go back again. If you look at this 2.3.2.11, this is really have the first option here. So if you look at indentation, okay, that format, this is the first option. Then there's alternative. So if you go to alternative, you click alternative, there's a PS. Do you see my point?
Does that mean that LC and the PCC prefer us to be using alternative? That's my interpretation.
Okay, then that will be another issue, okay? However, whoever the PCC catalog I communicate with is go by that rule sequence. You can choose the language appropriate for the contents. So that's why you see the example there for alternative. It's really for the people. Because over here is the language preferred by agency, but in United States, official language is English. Because they don't want you to see preferred language. For example, I'm a Chinese catalog. If I catalog a Korean, so I use Chinese to describe, I don't think that's appropriate. You should use English because that's the official language in the United States. Okay, I think I asked a very good question here, so everybody just think about this. But don't worry, we still have the break time. Some people told me, Charlene, the registration fee only $20, 3 meals, breakfast, coffee break, and lunch. Yes, you got it. So we still have a lot of break time to talk about this, and I don't mind to do follow-up, even though, 3R changed a lot. And this is one of the issues, you will see a lot of example, or it's just you will see either one by PCC catalog. That's the point I want to make. So that's just kind of follow up, and someone predict my thought is Sharon. So as you can see, in the RDA 2.2.4, it's talking about, should I input a bracket into 45? If no bracket, do I have to input a note in 500, title devised by cataloger? What do you think? Before I show you the rule. So default, we'll put a bracket, right? So if you look at 2.2.4, over here, you can see something, say, by means of a note or some other means through coding the use of square brackets. So over here, you can see what's the options here, either or. I'm sorry, I'm trying to analyze RDA toolkit by logic, okay? So over here, you have two options, right? One is to provide a note. The other option is provide square brackets. Is that clear? Either way, right? Good. However, that's something tricky in the 2.2.4. Please read the entire instruction to the end. And suddenly you will see a category called exceptions. The exception do not indicate the information was taken from a source outside the manifestation itself if the manifestation is of the type that does not really normally carry identified information like a photograph, naturally, occurring object or collection. So that's really important for manuscript community and special collection, okay? But over here, say, what is exception? For example, photograph, poster, painting may not have a title, okay? And 2.2.4 here with the PS, the PCC PS, use square brackets if information outside, and this is a very important one. It means PCC community prefer what? Square brackets. So this is very clear, okay? However, you can see the last part is apply the exception. Do you see that? This is a very important one. If you read the PS, you should be side by side with the original rules. You have to read to the end of the 2.2.4, then you see exception category. Otherwise, you think if I catalog a photograph, I have to put the square brackets. No, you are not required at all because of PS. Do you think it's challenging to piece all these rules together, just catalog a photograph? Oh my God, I don't know. It took me so much time to figure this out. Okay, so I don't know about you, but that's why I think RDA Toolkit does need a change. Okay, so let me go back to Sharon's question. So when should I input the bracket in 245? If we talk about those rules, let me see, any more rules I want to show you. Okay, that's another topic. That's another challenging one. Okay, so go by the PS, we can put a square bracket, except what? The exception category, right? So that's very clear. If no bracket, do I have to input a note in 500? Sharon said yes.
Except for the exception.
Good. That's the point. Thank you, Sharon. Okay, so let's move on. So another thing really challenging me for a while is really last year there's a new rule called 6.2.2.6. And that one also, the proposal comes from the manuscript community, and that's really important one for them. However, I think this one has some sort of, somehow, it's not sufficient in my opinion, okay? Because if you go to some, I don't want to call about detail, but some related tool is, and you can see this one talking about original language, not found or not applicable. So there's a choice here for people who want to devise a title, or you can use the title from the reference tool. That's not this one. Okay, sorry. So this one, some of my colleagues came to me, have discussion with me, say, Charlene, I have this piece in hand, and I know it's translation. I even know this is translate from Tibetan. Okay, I want to introduce another of my colleagues. I have a Chinese translation from Tibetan book, but could not find any information of original title. What should I do? What should I do? If you go by the PS, and then you will see, assume if you want to construct the preferred title, you need an original title. So over here, if you know Lauren Hartley, maybe she can figure out the Tibetan file. Lauren, could you raise your hand? She's a Tibetan study librarian at Columbia, and she cataloged Tibetan resources. And I used to work with her a lot. We try to really, really merge some record because it's some bilingual material. And then actually you have separate record for years, and some of them can be merged, especially in NAV. But over here, I just say, okay, what should I do? You know, according to 6.2.2.6, either you find it from reference tool, or you devise a title. But I cannot devise a title for the language I don't know, and I try all the reference tool. I still don't know what's the original title. So for this one, actually, I already emailed PCC Standing Committee on Standards, and I think this rule should be revised because it only include two categories without include another categories for translations. You don't find original title anywhere. So over here, for now, what we can do, just don't input a 130 to 40 because you cannot make it up. Just record the manifestation title in 245. But I think some sort of revision for this rule, also another rule for when you construct authority, AAP for the preferred title, they should be connect and with some sort of revised instruction, in my opinion. Okay, how much time do I have? Oh my God. So until 9:17, so, okay. So since we start 20 minutes late, so can I finish by 9:30? But I may not finish my slide. So let me do quickly. Okay. So for the statement of responsibility related title proper, and you can see over here, you can make a note for the variant form of title. And for this one, this is just kind of rewarding and to clarify. And for this one, statement, and for the PS, it's just the second paragraph for raw materials. So just look at the first paragraph if you don't deal with the raw materials. And this one, I think, is a really good change. And adding is for raw material, especially in a published form. It means manuscript. And this also applies to a lot of, I think, CJK raw material as well. Is for the place of production, you can supply the place of production. Before you only use the subfield C, now you can use the subfield A. And this one is also applied to the name of the place of publication, distribution, and manuscript. And this is another one being added to the RDA toolkit. You can see my example here is talking about for the serial numbering. And Steve Shadow can really add any comments if you want. And over here, it says you can input a note, say second series supply for identification. Phrase does not appear on serial. And I had some email correspondence with Les Hawkins because I really want to figure out how to do it for this one. Because I provide an example here, and I try to find an example in CCM, and I try to figure out how do we do it. And over here, you can see the 362 field, and you can see the angle bracket there, say second series. So that's something the catalog can supply, but actually it's not on the piece. But that's important to really differentiate. So according to 2.2.4, if you provide the square brackets, do you have to provide 500 note? No, you are not required to do that. Sharon agreed, right, according to the note. However, RDA toolkit, they serve the wide community, so the 500 note, you can do it. So that means from now on, you can provide this kind of note for the source of the serial numbering. So over here, you can see note here. I also have discussion with Les about should we use 500 note or 515? Any kind of serial numbering, we try to do 515. But for this case, because it's not numbering irregularity, it's more related to what? Source. So we can do 500. It's okay. So I'm still have discussion with Les. Okay. And you can see also you can provide other kind of information related to the series statement. So over here, you can see you also can describe where that series numbering come from. So you can see the 500 note, it tells you is from the binder cover. And I think this is also a legal example. And this one, I think, also, been mentioned by TJ last year in the RDA update session. And now you can describe this kind of note for the identifier. As I said earlier, for the full forward, identifier is one very important component. And over here, they integrate a lot of related rule. Over here, I'm sorry, for the carriers, you can see the instruction here to tell you what's found on the list or not on the list. So over here, you also can use the common term. But there's a kind of detailed PCC policy to follow, so please read the PS. And over here, they do a lot of merging with different kind of type of resources into one long list of kind of extent. And I love this change is for the extent of still image. If something is a portfolio, you still can describe what's in that portfolio. So it's a 40 prints. For work and expression, okay, this is the one is really if you already have an authority record, so you can follow authority records numbering. So you can see 245 with a Roman numeral, but 240 is really Arabic number. we're going to talk more about numeral later. And over here, you can see also related to the part number is also follow the authority record numbering. This is a similar case. You can see normal numeral in 245, every number 240. This one actually we think we slightly covered last year is for 380 field, and for the series, it's for the order series statement if it's a series, or you can say it's a monograph series, or can be series-like phrase, and we prefer to use control vocabulary, and also you can see option in PS. And these are another really big change for legal community. And I'm glad to see this one being changed. Because for years, you can see 245 field, lost, etc. For a lot of people, really don't think it's helpful. Am I right? So that's why they have this one change. You can see the priority order for it's really official show title or caption title. So with this priority list, just follow that list to input your title in the 240 field. So I tried to find an example, and I found this one. As you can see, in 18 jurisdiction is from Taiwan, is China Republic 1949 dash. And you can see 245 is really the compilation of the annotation on this law. And 240 is not law and etc. anymore. It's really this law itself. Leah, do you want to make any comments? Okay, thank you. Okay, and this one is for access point for the works and expression. And this one, I think we know most of the instruction, they just reorganize it in a more functional way for us to see is by original creator or different creator, and I think most of people know. And same thing for this revision, and I think we already know the instruction. Okay, this also, I think, related to legal material is you do have the option to put, I think, for the country or larger jurisdiction in the variant access point. So it means the 4X field. So you can see it's really original from District of Columbia, but you also can put in the United States. So the next category is for agents. It's a new term, and also related to authority work. So for this one, it's recording to the, okay, it's for the profession. And as we know, we use 370 field in authority record to describe the occupation or profession. And usually they're also because the qualifier you can see there. And over here is very clear, our default is to use the LC subject heading, LC-SH. However, there's a lot of development with more about genre and form terms. So that's why LC-DGT was the new term provided. They sometimes they have more specific term. For example, we use, for someone faculty member, we use college teachers in LCH for years, but now you do have the option to use university and college faculty members, and just say from LC-DGT. And sometimes it just certain terms actually another kind of a control vocabulary actually is more specific. Another one is in the discussion, and also a lot of discussion in the listserv is, for example, publisher. In LC-SH, called the publisher and the publishing. You can use that for 374 and 372. However, a lot of people prefer to use just say publishers. So you are eligible to use AAT term, just say publishers. And you also can see some AAT term is more specific for artists. So you can see the last example there. So it just, as long as it's a control vocabulary, I think for linked data implementation, and they are linkable and they are workable. Okay, just 3 minutes left. I'm going to fly through. And so over here also give you an instruction, try not to use any kind of like a gender or nationality for that kind of term, and just try to be specific for the profession. So you can see the example here. And okay, same thing over here, there's more examples. And this one, I want to talk about location of conference. And with this revised rules, and it's quite interesting, is it's a new first alternative is if there's a several location, nowadays, for example, Olympic Games, the whole city just one location, but they also have several, a lot of events just happening in other locations. So that's why they raise the question, if there's a multiple location, what should you do? So give you the first alternative, just a large place or host city. You can do that too. So over here, you can see the example. So for the Olympic game in Sydney, so you can just one qualifier, one location, just say Sydney, because that's the whole city. So over here, my colleague Adam Schiff just revised this authority record for us. So you can see the location only Sydney, but you can see how many cross-reference he add. So you still can provide multiple location there with different kind of just in the qualifier. You can have a lot of variant form. However, there's another, I think there's also with some sort of other choices here. You also can provide something like online. For example, today we have a virtual participant, it's Jocelyn Zoom from Washington, D.C. So with a lot of conference now is virtual conference online, so you also can use online. So over here, I want to show you some examples here is you can provide multiple location. This is my colleague, Ty Kellogg, to provide, 4 location for this art exhibition. And you also can provide, see the first example, and it just say online. But you can see the last example. Is that interesting from New Zealand? The first and second one is physical location. Do you see the third one say online? Do you think that's possible? Absolutely. Yeah, because nowadays you have the conference with the physical location, but also provide the virtual conference as a availability. So I love this example from my colleague in New Zealand. It's just likely. Okay. So that's another example you can see it's related to authority records is we just have to follow the BGN conventional form in English. And this one, I think people are familiar with this one. All the Japanese city you know for years, you just follow LC table. And over here to show you, you just follow the one complying with the LC table. So whatever in BGN approval form, you follow LC table. And, but the other thing you have to pay attention to is if there's a multiple choice, so then you follow the conventional form. And for example, a lot of Taiwanese place name already been converted into conventional form, so you have to do that. If it's not available conventional form in BGN, then you have to make sure the approval form complying with the LC table. So I follow all of this instruction. So you have the sequence, conventional form, romanization, complying, approve form, and if not in the BGN, transliterate in compliance with LC table. So over here, for related work, you can see for legal material and with this kind of instruction. And there are some new terms for relationship with designator. And you can see over here, I just want to emphasize these 2 new terms are very important for continued resource. And these 2 new terms is different from traditional define, the editor, or any kind of term. Okay, I finished all my slide, and yes, my time is up. So if you have any question, we can talk about later because I'm running out of time. So let's welcome next presenter, Deng.
She tried to get the slide up, and I want to say for my session, I have two parts. First part is talking about CJK NACO best practice. Second part is a NACO update. And the first part, I have a CJK NACO reviewer group that they help me put this together. And the second part, Jesselyn Zoom put the slide up, so we will go over. Yeah. Thank you. Okay. Yeah. So for the CJK best practice, that try to give overview and then also some highlights of general best practice, and then we will have a discussion on the new CJK best practice and updates. So I'm trying to get used to the how to do the. Okay. This one, everybody should know this 667, including non-Latin data. And I put this up for two purposes. And one is that LC has a system kind of error, so their NACO record, some of their NACO record missing the 667, and so if you see that report to LC, don't thinking this practice has gone, it's still in exist until further noticed by LC, we continue this practice. And this one is the document that Sarah, when she was the CJK NACO coordinator, working with the CJK NACO participant developed. So they are on the CJK NACO project website, and today we will discuss some new best practice. So we will expanding for this one and update that to be in the. This is a Word document, and I plan to working with you and develop adding more best practice and then make it a web document. So I'm not going into the detail, but just referring that so you know we have those best practice in place and then checking on them. And I want to do a couple highlights for general CJK, general NACO best practice. The first one is recording date, and please spelling out the months instead using numeral. So because convention, different place, they may using different. So especially when the number is less than 10 digit, so that could cause confusion. Which one is the month, which one is day? So please using months, spell out the months. That's the date we try to provide in 670. Another general NACO best practice, this one is very important about one AACR2 headings. When one AACR2 heading will be need reevaluate and code into RDA. So there's a three situation. One situation, the first one is that when the AACR2 NACO heading that used as a base, such as the name title, you create a work expression level, a uniform title, that's the AACR2 term. Or you create a NACO authority record for subordinate, and then the parent name is still in AACR2 that you have to reevaluate and then code them in RDA. And the second and third situation is that when the 500 that used in the 100 that record that is coded ACR2, and you need to change that. And the third situation is the reverse. So here's some examples. So this first example. This one is the we create expression level record for the authority, and then so we need to go back to the base record that name authority to change that to change the rule to Z, and then code it RDA after you do the evaluation. The second one is the example above. You create a subordinate name, and then it's RDA, and then the parent name is still in ACR2 that you need to change that into RDA record. And third one is the relationship that if you're using the one-sided, the later name, so for this one is we created early name as RDA, but the later name still in ACR2, so you need to reevaluate and recoding it. And also for the later name that you also, I think it's no, the early name, yeah. So if there's a relationship, you need to make sure that they are all coded RDA. But there's still other relationship that is encouraged but not it's not required. For those three situations, it's required. So when you do NACO work, you create a new RDA record. You make sure that directly related authority record need to be re-evaluated and code to RDA. So now we come into this discussion about some new CJK best practice. And the first one is a proper noun in 670s. And this come to discussion at the CJK NACO reviewer group. And we have a discussion because there's no specific instruction address the situation for CJK. Because the DCMZ1, they have instruction on other data. They give kind of casual note to say generally, informally translating, let me see what the root. Generally, informally translate other data from foreign language into English, paraphrasing or summarizing as convenient. But the CJK review group had the concern about this rule because if you're translating, that you kind of worry about this self-made translation that could screw the meaning of the corporate body, or especially corporate body that could be confused with other one. So that also now serve the data, serve the purpose of identification. So, and also I pull a quick tool to the NACO reviewer that who creating NACO record, they generally transliterating than translating. So they would recommend we transliterating. So I want to see how participant who creating NACO record, when you run into this kind of situation, what do you do with author affiliation? What do you do with the place name? Do you translating or transliterate? Let's hands up for transliterating. Okay, what about translating?
Especially if that translation is somewhere else in another authority record, or in the class
Mm-hmm.
Also, C catalog is used a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So in that case, I feel comfortable at using the translation in the 670 note.
Yeah.
Because it's everywhere else.
Mm-hmm. That is okay. Yeah, this is the one we say is that okay to translate if English form is commonly identified or found in NAR, just like the situation you described, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So that is okay. But generally, that if you cannot find the in the authority record or on the corporate body website, and then it's recommended to do transliteration because it's easier, straightforward, and you don't have to worry about the try to do something wrong. Kind of by strategy to less agonizing or do research because we try to get record done and then move on, try to not spend so much time on creating the record. So that is the one that we recommend, and I see a lot of hands up for transliterating. So everybody support that to have this as a translating as a best practice, except that if you find the English form in the NAR or commonly identified. So okay.
So I have another question
Okay.
regarding translation.
Okay.
For example, sometimes I find that a corporate body
Mm-hmm.
has the dual page. For example, some university, whatever in Japan has an English. If I go to the website
Mhm.
or another corporate body
Mm-hmm.
or corporation, which I find more often than the
Mm-hmm.
they had the English translation of the website, and they themselves translate into English
Mhm.
the name of their corporation.
Mm-hmm.
And I do use the English, their English translation in my notes. So
Okay.
do you find that this is unacceptable?
Yeah, this is acceptable. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, especially on their website. So it's if they provide English form, that's they preferred English form for their corporate body names. So that is okay. Yeah. Thank you, Leah. That's a good question. Yeah. So we will move on to next one. So for this one, we will transliterating unless that you have a translation that English form commonly identified or found in name authority file. So the next one is continue this topic is that in current instruction for non-Latin 670s that we only ask you to provide that transliteration for the name associated with 100 and not affiliation or place name. So CJK NACO review group recommend to have an optional practice to say recording the proper names in both original script and the romanization in 670 field if considered important for identification or clarification. So what do you think? Do you thinking this is will be helpful that to incorporate into current 670 non-Latin data instruction? So if you say yes, give me hands up so I can see. Okay, yeah. Okay, so so I will work with Paul Frank at LC, our NACO coordinator, to get that incorporated into this instruction. The second one we have is a date in lunar calendar, and in the past that we don't have this 046 to recording the data because we can just say present the date to identify the date is in lunar calendar, but now because we need recording date in 046, that will help with the identification. And converting the lunar calendar into Julian calendar, that has become more important. So we want to see if we need some best practice on this one. And I found myself, when I try to prepare this one, I search the example that I did, and I found 3 examples. I did 3 times. I recorded differently. So you can think about, because every time you're thinking, I said, how did I do this? And then you don't have this best practice in place. So you say, okay, this time you're thinking about that, so, oh, this is what I do. And next time, and then you find this is what you do. So I thinking probably have a good recommendation so that we can do it consistently. And I at CJK NACO reviewer group, we had this discussion about how to recording data. And then the option 2 is a proper way to recording calendar date. And then the first option is kind of easier, I think probably for Western speaker to know the date, that is the date, but what Jesselyn mentioned to say it's most important is that you converting the data into Julian date. That is the most important. And then for the option 1, option 2, that the option 2 is a proper way. Okay. So this is the 25 minutes, the 5 minutes left. Okay. So what participants thinking about how we should do with this practice? Lauren?
I strongly feel the second option 2 is much more appropriate because, yeah, for so many reasons. It records more authentically to the original. You have different countries you're working with. There was never a December in the original. I really hope option 1 was adopted. Personally, I'm curious about the people who feel the same way. Yes.
Yeah, I agree with you. For us, but I think for students, most of the students, it's easier for them to understand. So I just struggle with it. For me, in a professional point of view, the second one better.
So, but also for student is that the converted date, because that's in Julia format, so that should be, as long as we have this Julian date there, that should be okay, right?
I think now they accept it because it's 2 years. What it means on 1910 or 1911 is 2 Western years. So the lunar years should be, for example, 1911 should be Xinhai. We call it as Xinhai rather than 1911. So only 1 year is 1910. It's 1910. So it's confusing many people. Oh, why this?
I think some sometimes they those are from source. The source doesn't necessarily now to say Xinhai. They using the calendar. They even as a lunar calendar, they still say 1910. This is what found on the source. So yeah. So I'm thinking that that could, I don't know if that's the option, that if you fund it that way.
Yes, I understand. Very difficult because the Chinese year and the Western year is different. The month is different. So sometimes, for example, the January 1911 will be actually not a Xinhai year, Xinhai year after that. So it's a challenge. It's very difficult.
It is.
But if we record it like this, just 2 Western years, so make it a lot of the confused with the Western year. Why you have 2 years? So but actually, it's only 1 Chinese
Okay.
I agree with him. You know, this is different year. For us, professional, we understand what's going on. But for normal user, they don't know, especially the Western people, what's going on. There's 10 and 11. Why has different year? So confused for the Western.
So we have, if we have that Julian date in the bracket and then that in being recorded in 046, that will help to patron to know that this is the Western calendar year, and then in the we identified that we recording it in option 2. I thinking that I don't know how if in the source that they didn't say Xinhai.
Yeah, the problem is in the source, there's 2 years. This is a mistake. So it should be just 1 year. So
Happen to be this is the example. It's a good example to be here to Karen.
in the same year, it should be okay because if it's 1911, for example, in March 1911, should be 1911, so just
Okay.
1 was the year. So it should be fine. But if it's across the 2 years, so we have to check the calendar, which is exactly Western year. If it is 1910, we call that 1910.
Okay.
1911, this month, is 1911, we call that 1910.
Yeah.
But the whole is the
Oh,
same thing.
yeah. Karen, yeah. Once Karen, yeah, we have to move on. Yeah.
The second option is only correct because the first one is not only confusing, but it's the incorrect route. Because if you want to transcribe exactly from the source, on December it's the Western way to describe the date, right? So, but the information from the source is for the lunar calendar. So the first option is not option at all.
Okay.
Just only one option. That's the second one.
Okay, so everybody vote for the second option? Okay, so we will go with second option. We have to move on, so thank you for the discussion. And now we have another one, is the non-Mark 8 invalid character that we run into. That we know that the RDA rule 1.4 on language and script that should cover this, but it's not specifically address the issue when the character that is a non-Mark 8 and invalidated could not be reproduced by the system. So OCLC had instruction to say, in this case, you can bracket and to either give the name, or the CJK character you can enter as the reading. So CJK NACO reviewer group recommend that we enter the transliteration of the character with bracket based on LALC romanization tables. Yeah. So what are you thinking about this? And another question Jesselyn wants to ask is that, do you think it's necessary to recording that 400 cross-reference? Does that help with search? By the way, this example I had is it's already being populated from the bib record, so they have both this one and the Gather, the 2-bar that name also in the 400. I didn't list it here. So what are you thinking about that? For authority record right now, it's still Mark 8, so it doesn't including other Unicode like a bib record that OCLC already expanded to including the beyond Mark 8, but for authority right now, we are still limited to that Mark 8. And do you want to have this 400 field in the authority record, or?
So if you can search the remaining characters and pull this up, I think it's very useful. I would rather have it than not have it.
I actually haven't tested, so.
That to me would be the answer, is if it can come up like a keyword search or partial search,
Mm-hmm.
then absolutely keep it. Actually, I
Yeah, I think once the authority file that go beyond Mark A, and then maybe because we have that information there, so maybe we can restore based on the BIP record. So somebody probably have to go to the BIP record to update it, and then so we can update the authority record based on BIP record at a later time.
Hello, Shi, this is Jesselyn.
So we will follow this practice.
Hi, Shi, this is
Hands up.
Jesselyn. Can you hear me?
Okay, I see good hands up, so we will follow. Yeah.
Hi, Shi.
Thank you. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. Yeah. So this is this session I can go quickly, and it just give you update on the CJK NACO practice in the last year. So we have a reviewer group formed, and then working on revising the guidelines and develop best practice, and also they help reviewing the new NACO participants' records. And we did a CJK NACO training in September 2016 as tag-along format. So Paul Frank provides general training. We appendix CJK training after that session, and then talking more about CJK specific. Because last year was the first time, so I didn't open it up to everybody. But I thinking people who participate thinking this is a really good format to do the training. So we're going to try to do it again this year, and still in the fall, and we will open it up for people who are new or want to take in refresher for NACO training. And then we update CJK website. So try to. And those are people who participate in September's training. And we even have 2 members from Australia. So for people who are participating in that training, and if you are here, please stand up. Let's give them a round of applause for, making our CJK project strong. People shy and now standing up. And I also want to recognize the CJK NACO reviewer group members who are, a lot of them are here. Please stand up and then to give them a round of applause too, yeah. I really appreciate have this group because I cannot do the work without them. And I just mentioned this year planning, so it's a take a village, so I really appreciate all the help from you. And then we will continue to develop our CJK material with more CJK example as the feedback, but I need help from you who creating the record, who review the record. If you're thinking that the case is worth to sharing to help people learn together, and then send it to me. And also, I'm thinking about to invite the community expert like Paul Frame, Adam Schiff, to have this Q&A session. But we need example. We need a case for them to discuss with us. So if you don't give me example, I cannot have that session, have them sitting there, their time is available too. So if you are interested in this format, and then send me the case, and then we can, based on the case, so I'm now trying to do a regular, but I will accumulate some case and then fun enough to an hour session, and then to do that. So please, if you are interested, and send to me. And also, if you have any idea, and then let me know. So let's move on to the next session. This is update put together by Jesselyn Zoom. Basically, it's a DCM Z1 update since April 2016, and also some LC guideline on Mark 21 format. 2 minutes. Okay. 046, this is to tell you to recording the centuries using the first 2 digits, and so 17 represent 18th century. And if it's a premix century, and then please do not record in 046. And also 368, and there's a best practice about subfield A, subfield B, subfield C. And for the subfield D, the best practice is that you taking the data from 100 or cross-reference. So like the example here, if the princess daughter of Tomohito, prince of Mikasa, you copy that exactly, put into 368, and like even if the 大师, you notice that it's in the lowercase, you copy that, you don't capitalize it, you taking exactly. So that's the, and for the 374 occupation, the list has been expanded, so you can follow the handout to go over that, and then also 375, for subfield S and subfield T, that for the field list there, it will be you only need to recording year, not the full data. And then if it's a full data, they recommend you to do it in 670 or other fields. So it's already run out time. So okay. So for this one, the individual fiction character and the legendary character, that now is in the name authority files. And for the group, it's still in the subject authority file. So so if appropriate, notify PSD to cancel the subject hiding, and when you're creating the name authority. So this is an example that become a name authority file. And then this is talking about recording the relationship for later early title, that you can still continue the current practice, or you can starting adding the relationship of predecessor and successor to record it. And also for other relationship that for, I think I've just let it go. And this is a 672 and 673. Those are the new field that when you do that, it's make sure that you do not delete what's in the 670 field. 670 field still needed to justify the authority, the hidings in the 100. And also the 400, 500, but this one is telling you 672 is title related to entity, 673 is not related. So you record it, but you do not delete what they people recorded. You keep just recording what's adding there. And this one, it just tell you do not using the this field right now. And then for series, please follow the NACO series PCC training guide. And also that we don't have many NACO series trainer in our NACO reviewer group, but we will work with Paul. And then probably if your institution do series NACO, and we try to working with your institution's NACO coordinator, so they will looking at the series part, we will looking at the CJK language part to coordinate with that. And those are LC guidelines, and mostly do not use subfield G. So I think I'm done. Yeah, thank you.
Hello, everybody. My name is Julia Chun. I'm the Korean Studies Librarian at the East Station Library here at U of T. I wanted to update you about what's happening in terms of schedule today. So after Charlene's next session for 10 minutes or so, we're going to have a 10-minute coffee break, and then we'll resume with Steve Shettle's next presentation. And we'll be having lunch from 12:10 to 12:45. So unfortunately, the lunch will be curtailed to 30-minute long break. I apologize for this complex schedule, and thank you very much for understanding and being patient. Thank you.
I know you guys really want to stand up and stretch. So just give me 10 minutes. I will just go through the steps very quickly because I think, as we say, we try to be flexible. And the audience really shouldn't spend more time with the NACO updates. So I'm going to only use maybe 7 or 8 minutes and try to go through this slide, okay? And so this is a group discussion on CJK relationship with designators. And for today, this agenda is I will show you some background, and also this is simply a discussion, discussion paper or some sort of discussion topic. So just keep open-minded. Okay. Actually in 2015, the workshop, and I did show you some spreadsheet is really the CJK relationship designator. And also, I try to collect some sort of comments, and somehow the agreement is the consensus is we try to support, using this spreadsheet files and for more research and studies. Because when the RDA toolkit have this relation designated in Appendix IJK, and in Asia and some national libraries, they start doing a lot of translation, because they think it's only listed in English. For them, it's not practical to use at all. Because when you catalog book in front of you, they are in CJK language. They are not in English. So they will start working on the thing about mapping, how to do the mapping between CJK language and the English or international community. So that's the background. And when I have the survey library visit in year 2015 and talk to my colleagues at National Central Library and National Taiwan University and Sichuan University, I received very strong support from them is they think this issue need to be pursued further and maybe need a lot of discussion and work on. So, however, I actually already drafted this session to do last year because we ran out of time. So I decided to do this year. And before I say that, I just want to say for Chinese Rule Book Guideline already revised, their decision is really try to still use in a Romanized form. So whatever I say today is not really cover the Rule Book Guideline at all. It's really for reprint or older material, or you decide to use the RDA as your description schema. So I try to, based on that spreadsheet, and I try to group as a cataloger. We love to group material, and this is something I try to categorize some sort of issue and try to think about it. For example, there are terms in mixed roles. And if you catalog a lot of Chinese books, even in very contemporary, for example, what I have in the past 5 or 10 years, you will see a lot of terms. It has both character. If it's Bian, usually people think it's editor. If it's Chou, you think it's author. So you're wondering, so this author, is this author or editor? People confused. And then you can see the option here. It could be an author, both author, editor. It could be the author is a compiler, or can be just the author, or it could be just a compiler. And a team member just came to me, actually, I think a few weeks ago, showed me a book. She said, Charlene, come on, this is not author. Even though it says Zhu in this book, I'm pretty sure he's just an editor. So that's the kind of thing, actually 2 years ago, I think we have very good example from Morimoto-san is, if you have to make sure it's a compilation, or you can see it's not just, if you see the title page, certain information there, sometimes we try to be practical and just go by the title page. but sometimes that information just not accurate at all. So at least that's something I see pretty frequently. And the other example here to Zhuanxiu, also again, when I discuss with my colleague in Asia, for this case, it could be compiler or can be also the sponsoring body, or just simply sponsoring body. So same thing with kind of 编述, or another very important one called 绘注. 绘注 it means, okay, it could be the author. If it's a graphic novel, so you will use artist, because it's really the creator, it's not really contributor. But some people would think, oh, in that case, it can be illustrator. So it's a kind of thing we just use catalog judgment, or what kind of best practice we should have. Okay, now we go to type 2, synonyms. I can show you when I talk to Amelia or different or TJ, whoever catalog audiovisual materials, and one of my colleagues also showed me a list. She said, Charlene, I'm confused by this Chinese DVD or Chinese movie. Are they all same term, the synonym for film producer? You can see my list of the term. Are they all the same or not? And also you can see compiler for the older materials, they have different kind of term, but they probably mean the same thing. Then also for author, oh my God, you can see how many terms there. So maybe we need really a cataloging reference tool to have this kind of almost like a dictionary or kind of reference tool to tell us they are actually the same thing. Don't let a new catalog just struggling with this. So type 3. So the term may have the exactly same meanings and defined in the appendix I. So maybe, okay. So you can see 编译, your immediate action is, okay, so this is a mean person translator, an editor, or this person just a compiler. So also you can see, right, is if you see the appendix I, writer of edit commentary, the writer of supplementary textual content, editor, compiler, but you can see all this kind of term, it could appear in some of the reprint of older material, it's just on your title page. Okay, I have 5 minutes, I think I can finish it. So terms may not have exactly same meanings defined in the appendix I. So it's very interesting to see how ambiguous the CJK language could be. So when I see the spreadsheet, I also consult some sort of my colleagues in Asia. So 点教 and 教点. So if you switch the order, okay, I found different definition and different kind of meanings. So you can see when I consult some sort of experienced catalog or experts, sometimes they couldn't give me a very clear answer either. I'm not talking about English translation, even in Chinese explanation, okay? So I think this kind of term really need more research in depth, and maybe somehow it's helpful for us, we have some sort of consensus. Okay, type 4. The term may indicate different role depending on the context and languages. For example, when I discussed with Morimoto-san, then I realized for the Real-Book guideline for Japanese material, the 长版 it means just a publisher. But for Chinese Real-Book guideline, it has, in some cases, they are publisher or printer, but some cases it's just the keeper of the printing blocks. So, but how do we do in RDA? If you decide to catalog this reprint, what do you do? So you can follow the guideline for your language, but this may be the category we can think about. Type 5. The terms are not in the appendix I. For example, there's some terminology, I keep on trying to find the definition in appendix I, they're just not there. So according to PCC instruction, and then maybe we can propose some new terms we're talking about especially I want to, in 2016, RSC established a new working group. It's the RSC Relationship Designator Working Group. And they have very ambitious plan. And we're talking about in international context and that they probably want to see more mapping with kind of terminology, in different languages. So the next step, and it's just some of my recommendation, and I think what I want to say is, if you're interested in this topic, please email me. I'm looking for the partners for further research. If you're interested in this topic, please email me and let me know, and we can think about what should we do next. And this is the spreadsheet. They are on the web, and you can just go to our website, and you can see information there. You can see a lot of information actually recommended by National Central Library and National Taiwan University, and they are looking for answers. Thank you all. Time for coffee break.
Hello, everyone. We'll take 10-minute break from now, and I'll post a detailed schedule on the screen so you will know what other presentations are after this.